Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for joining us again. I want to speak today about coronavirus and its potential impact on the U.S. and the global economy. Yesterday, Senator Menendez and I and a couple other senators introduced a resolution honoring Dr. Li Wenliang, a Chinese doctor who died last week of coronavirus. What makes him unusually notable among the now more than 1,000 victims of the coronavirus is he was one of the first persons to blow the whistle on the Wuhan coronavirus in early December. He was silenced by the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, he was summoned in the dark of night and forced to sign a statement denouncing his warnings. Then, unfortunately, he contracted it and died, leaving behind, as I understand, a wife, a small child, and another child on the way. Another example of these kind of practices I want to cite is the Chinese lawyer and journalist Chen Qishi, who was known for reporting on the conditions in Wuhan. He has since disappeared. I raise these examples, and I could multiply them at great length about, whereas just a simple illustration of Chinese dishonesty and lack of transparency in trying to handle the effects of this outbreak. Obviously, that has most important impact on our ability to understand the virus and develop effective test and vaccine for us. But what kind of effects does it have on you and the Fed's ability to try to understand the economic impact of it, dealing with such untransparent conditions coming out of Beijing as you get a grasp of what the possible impact could be for China, for the United States, and for the global economy?
So as you point out, the real question for the Fed is what is the likely effect on the U.S. economy? And I think we'll see that. We'll begin to see it in economic data coming up fairly soon, and it's too uncertain to even speculate about what the level of that will be and whether it will be persistent or whether it will lead to a material change in the outlook. But we do expect that there'll be some effects. The effects should be substantial in China, important but maybe less substantial in their immediate trading partners. And we'll be looking at the economic data, and I can't really comment on the other kinds of data. We look at that too.
Sure, and no, of course I wouldn't expect that from the Federal Reserve. Get that from HHS and CDC and other agencies like that. Are Chinese economic or central bank officials in contact with the Federal Reserve or their other counterparts around the world to try to help you and your counterparts understand that economic impact, though, recognizing the dishonesty and lack of transparency that health officials and political leaders?
I'm absolutely sure that will be the case. There have been some conversations, but I think it's too early to say. I think no one really knows. I think their focus now, the big focus there is containing the outbreak. And of course, the central bank and the government itself the rest of the government have been undertaking lots of measures to support economic activity. I think certainly as they know more, we'll know that too. We of course have that kind of a relationship with their central bank.
Okay. I want to commend the Trump administration for taking decisive action a couple of weeks ago to stop travel from China and the other steps they've done in terms of contact tracing and trying to get testing kits out to the front lines. So right now, as of this morning, I think we only have 13 confirmed cases in the United States. I think we're going to be confident there's more than that, but hopefully there won't be many more. If that remains the case, if there's not a widespread outbreak in the United States because of the actions the United States government took, is the main economic risk to the United States the fragility of supply chains that originate in China and what happens at the very beginning of those chains in factories which may not have any or sufficient workers?
You're right. Supply chains is an important issue. We import a lot of sort of intermediate goods from China and final goods too, and that will be an issue. It'll also be our own exports there, of course, will be suppressed during this period. We won't get as much Chinese tourism. And then the other channel I would mention is just financial markets, which can create their own transmission into the economy to the extent there are really strong reactions in financial markets. So we'll be looking at all of that, and again, we do expect to start to pick it up relatively soon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, far and away the top priority of our government must be the health and safety of our people, but we don't want to lose sight of the potential economic harm to our people's well-being and prosperity. So I appreciate your attention to this important matter.